Don't forget, this isn't a war game, ladies and gentlemen, and that's why we're definitely not going to war all the time. In some sort of lightning raid, we are almost at Paris. That's the fall of Paris in 1841. Oh, and Queen Victoria turns out to be a cocaine addict. That's a nice one, Paradox. Welcome to Victoria 3, the latest in a long line of Sol 3 primitive DLC for Stellaris made by Paradox Interactive. We're going to be exploring the backwater world of Dirt to find out more about the human race that lives there. And of course, our main objective should probably be to unify the entire planet under a single government. Yes, nothing could possibly go wrong with our high level of primitive infiltration. We are going to be starting as Prussia and going for a full German unification as early as possible. Actually, not just a unification of Germany, but Greater Germany as well. This is of course an economic simulation, and we will use our strong economy to equip and maintain the finest army this world has ever seen. 125% discipline, if you catch my drift. Our overall objective will be to try to unify the entire planet ready for Uplift. And here is our glorious leader, Frederick Wilhelm. Our people start in a terribly backward state. We don't have anything even as primitive as radios. So interstellar communication at this point is going to be a little bit of a challenge. We will need to upgrade to radio so we can phone home and complete this covert infiltration. We are definitely in the industrial era, and we're going to be exploiting that to the fullest. Let's bootstrap this civilization up as quickly as possible. Yes, at the start here, we really don't have very much land whatsoever. We are a small fleck in a large universe. Coal is the fire of industry, so let's increase our coal production right away at the start. We also probably need some time to advance our economy and our nation, enough to be able to batter our opponents around us and unify the planet. So let's begin improving relations with some of our possible rivals. The puny humans should be taxed much more for drinking liquor. It dulls their minds and reduces the workload. And apparently that balances the books, so we're going to do that straight away at the start. The intelligentsia, though, the smartest amongst the people we control, might accidentally work out who we are, lizards in skin suits, so probably best to suppress them into the dirt. And of course, every human being must be watched over carefully, so we'll have a secret police just as soon as we can pass that law. Taking a look at our markets, which are rather confusing, I must admit humans have some interesting ideas about how to move goods around, but it does seem like iron is rather expensive, and we require quite a bit of iron in order to build our buildings, build more infrastructure, advance the progress of this nation. So let's build more iron mines, let's put more humans down the mine shafts and get things done. In fact, I'm actually going to queue up a construction sector, get that done post-haste, and hopefully that should speed along the progress of getting things done. It is beautiful to see, though, that amongst our entire political population, every single one of them is either a royalist supporting our beautiful cause, or a moderate that has absolutely no opinion on it whatsoever. Now, the way things work in Victoria is a little interesting. We have a monthly balance. That's an amount of money that either goes in or comes out from the coffers of our nation. It's very complicated how we collect all that, but we're not going to look at that right away. What we will look at is the fact that we have a gold reserve. So we've got a whole bunch of extra cash sitting around that we can burn through before we go into debt. And once we go into debt, we could actually go into a total of 5.25 million Great British pounds before there's any sort of issue and we might possibly default. Our interest rate is very high at 6.5%, but there's a lot of credit we can get our hands on. That credit is basically built up from all of the various different industries and different buildings across our empire that are owned by various people. We live in a thriving, complex, and complicated economic system that is very beautifully represented in Victoria 3. I am slightly worried about our steel mills becoming basically very unproductive at the moment. Steel is apparently, oh, there we go. We fired enough people so that finally it's productive for us to have the steel mills. But this could have a knock-on effect, you see. We're producing less steel, meaning that the price of steel in our nation has now gone up. And steel is heavily used here by our tooling workshops. They, in fact, are the only people in the nation using steel. So as the price of steel goes up, the cost to these tool works goes up, and therefore the profitability of these tool works go down. Having said that, though, this is apparently the number 3 tool workshop in the world and the 6th most productive building. So I think the people that own this, the capitalists, yes, as you can see, they're not doing too badly at all. They're living an opulent lifestyle on an average yearly income of £64.8. I wish I could live an opulent lifestyle on £64.8. I've only got space energy credits, of course. And if you're enjoying this video, please covertly infiltrate that like button. And there we have it. We now have secret police. The intelligentsia, those dastardly lizard-hating monsters, obviously hate this, but given that they're anti-slavery, they simply must know nothing about how real economies work. The dastardly Adelbert Peiser has declared that he wants to duel with General Hans Ernst Karl von Zeiten. And that is terrible because, you see, General Hans is one of our better scaly-skinned people. Apparently he has a slight edge. Let's see how it goes. Fortunately, we did kill the leader of the intelligentsia. Unfortunately, he was then replaced with a radical. Oh
my God! Okay, it's happening. Everybody stay calm. Stay calm!
This could be a slight issue, but I'm sure we can roll with it. Clearly, these puny primitive apes are absolutely in need of our great leadership. Look, they fight amongst themselves. Here, the people known as Egypt and the Ottoman Empire. What a tiny piece of land to be called an empire, but still, they fight amongst each other for little meager border disputes amongst these hills and these towers. What we really need is solid leadership. And for that reason, we're going to launch a leadership play for the apparently small area of Germany over the Austrians to our south. And what was I saying? Well, war has broken out right across the European theatre here. We're at war with Austria. Well, let's just take a look, actually. We here are at war with, the Austrians over the leadership of Germany. Their allies are the Russians, the Bavarians, the Krakow, and the two Sicilies. We have our own allies, the French. I was quite surprised when they came in on our side. We are pushing forwards on the Austrian front. The Austrians are crumbling under our combined might of French and Prussian forces. In fact, we're now almost at the Danube, and we've almost captured Vienne. On the Russian front, things aren't going as well. We've repulsed some invasions into our territory. We have been completely blocked by the Russians at every turn. However, as we speak, I was winning the battle, and suddenly it turns out General Mikhail completely beat me back a bit. Yep, that's a loss here for General Hans. That's Bavarian capitulation here. We're clearly pushing through here forwards into Austria. We've got the capital. Here is Vienna. We've actually occupied a small amount of it, including, I have to assume, some of this over here. It does look like it might be some sort of royal or barrack type establishment. We haven't taken the bridge, but we're almost through, and once that capital falls, we should be able to enforce a lot of our demands. Our crack forces, led by me, King Frederick, are pushing through. There goes St. Polten. We're running a little short of cash, but we can always offset that by increasing taxes. And with that, we have complete capitulation from the Austrians. They have handed over the reins of German leadership to me. We're now making quite a bit of extra money. You see, £19,000 a week from the Austrian war reparations. Those evil warmongers who refuse to bow down before our German leadership challenge are now going to help us in a new way. We're going to take their money, and we're going to use it to improve the relations of the other nations around us by bankrolling them. As we do this, you'll see quite a lot of these nations change and decide that yes, they do in fact support us as the candidate for German unification. You see, we're the only candidate now for German unification, and that means they pretty much have to choose us. Any that don't choose us, well, we'll go to them and we'll give them a lot of cash. Yes, you see, a small minor loan of $1 million should help them and change their minds and be on our side in the future. Now that the state has made some suitably large expenditures, yes, you see we've got so many of these nations who now love us, we're going to launch a unification play for the entirety of Germany in 1840. Yes, there are a few nations that still are saying, no, 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 sir, but we'll deal with that. Luckily, Russia and France, both now very genial and cordial towards us, may even join our side. This might be a little bit of a messy war. There are quite a few borders, as you can see here, but not to worry, we'll be absolutely fine. And it does seem to have come to war yet again. We're now going for a diplomatic play which should enable us to unify Germany. And we might also humiliate France. You see, alliances on this ancient world are very, very fluid. We've of course still been building up our industry. We're building more steel mills, more glassworks, more food industries, and more furniture manufacturers. Don't forget, this isn't a war game, ladies and gentlemen, and that's why we're definitely not going to war all the time. Generally speaking, I can't really see us losing this. We do seem to be pushing forwards on all fronts. Our economy does seem to have fallen into the toilet due to this war, but I'm sure that won't be a problem either.
Nothing to see here!
In some sort of lightning raid, we are pushing through here. We are almost to Paris. It's taken literally 2 to 3 weeks. There it is. Paris has fallen, ladies and gentlemen. That's the fall of Paris in 1841. I almost can't believe it. I suppose we have been a little bit late, only occupying Paris by 41. In another timeline, I believe this was done by 40. However, without the support of the United Kingdom and her colonies, it turns out we did not have to invade Belgium to win World War II. Wait, this wasn't World War II. Oh, yes, sorry. Welcome back to Victoria 3, an economic game. Anyway, we've now united Germany, or at least a lot of Germany, under our great leadership. Ladies and gentlemen, isn't it beautiful? The Northern German Federation has rocketed in 1841 here out of the ashes. Yes, I don't really know what to say. This was meant to take quite a bit longer than 5 in-game years. Our GDP has almost doubled, and we are, ignoring our geopolitical situation, which is a little dicey, we've generated some infamy from doing this. We are in a very strong position. Now, we do have some issues though. We're quite a bit into debt. We've got a heavenly large amount of battalions we can apparently raise, but that's probably too many, so let's get rid of some of our barracks. We're also going to have to put up taxes quite a bit and introduce a whole host of new consumption taxes. And at this point it seems like, well, we'll just surrender to France because they're winning. We'll be increasing law enforcement and home affairs to deal with all of this extra new administrative areas. You see, the first thing that seems to have sprung up against us is the Wallonians, whomever they might be. These crazy people are trying to declare independence from us and our great nation. Oh, and by the way, the economy's doing just fine now. Don't even worry about it. I mean, we are at war. We should probably raise some armies to deal with this. Let's bring... Yes, we've got these men here. They'll help. Oh, actually, all of our armies are still mobilized. I take it back. We'll send every unit to this frontier and we'll batter the Wallonians back into submission. Because here we go. Let's see how long they last against our imperial might. Oh, that's it. All done. And it looks like, unfortunately, all play and no work makes Hans a very naughty boy. We're going to have to get rid of him immediately. We are almost out of debt now as well. You see, we put taxes up. We put a lot of consumption taxes on a few bits and pieces. Nothing to worry about. No issues there. Yes, we've only taxed the rich. You know, eat them and all that. Not too much of a problem. And of course, we did lower public spending on the military, getting rid of quite a few barracks. But all of that combined is now pushing us well out of debt and hopefully back into having some actual cash in the bank. And it seems we've truly created chaos on the European continent. You see, we still have a grand war ongoing. What's that war? Well, it's Prussia versus Bavaria. The two fighting armies at this point are the French. They have not only mobilized, they've fully mobilized all conscripted forces. Yes, hundreds of thousands of French and Russians are dead, fighting in the cold, harsh wastes of Russia. It's cost both countries millions of pounds, and neither side really has a care in this war except for the grudges formed by joining my side or the Bavarian side a long time ago. We're now building railways here right across the nation. That's going to increase our infrastructure and transportation and provide a great source of buyers for our burgeoning motor engine industry. And it's probably a great idea at this point to embrace this ledger entry and start some colonial affairs. That way we can expand the burgeoning North German Federation outwards into the rest of the world. We've had to decrease taxes again yet further because we're just making so much money hand over fist at the moment. Look, our reserves are almost overflowing. We're almost halfway to our gold reserve limit. So we're having some interesting things going on with our economy. I've just invented some sweeteners. We've upgraded the industrial production of our food industries to use them. We've invented cans. Cans, though, you see, I instituted the use of cans in our production line to produce more groceries so that we could help all of our population out and give them lots of lovely new things to eat in the great North German Federation. However, that has sent the price of fish skyrocketing. To offset that, I've started importing a whole bunch of fish from the Russian market. These are just the kinds of crazy things that can happen in Victoria 3 when you press a button without really looking. And now that we're trying to enact this new colonial exploitation law, we're apparently arguing the point that colonial exploitation is morally correct. Now, if you've played Stellaris, you'll know this is 100% absolutely true. You must look after the needs of all citizens in your empire, including those that don't know they need to be integrated. So I guess I'll just push this button. Well, we've got enough states now to form Germany properly. Let's do that then. Ah, there we are. Beautiful. We're now Kaiser Friedrich, and this means we can now go out and redouble our efforts in the universe to make the world a better place. And now that we're Germany, we have absolutely no infamy, so nobody hates us. And that means the northern power Denmark might be the first to join our multilateral alliance. It seems yet again the French have joined the wrong side. Let's put taxes up, let's increase military spending, and get on with the job of winning this war. The main thing we'll have going for us in this war is our patriotic fervor. You see, we'll get plus 30% offense and defense because our faction, the armed forces, absolutely love how much we're spending on the military. It's totally a perfect system. And that means we're once again in a state of war. You'd see, this world is just very, very aggressive. And these primitive tendencies need to be stamped out for a strong and stable economic future. We are repeatedly holding here on our western front with France. We don't really want to fight the French, you see. We're happy with them and the Spanish duking it out endlessly. We just want to grab our little bit of Denmark, which is currently beautifully occupied and under pressure by us. Yes, the French are falling back. It's just, magnifique. And that's full occupation of those fronts. Now we've occupied all of Denmark. Let's push forwards on the French front to see if we can get something going there. Can we achieve another lightning war smashing through into Paris again? I think it's highly possible. Yes, I really do think this area could do with some sort of fortification for the French. It would help them in repelling our continuous attacks. On the other side of the world, the Spanish don't seem to be doing as well. They've got the British making a line for their capital, as well as the French annihilating the eastern side of their nation. And it looks like, as we're speaking, Madrid is falling. Yes, there's Madrid has fallen. I assume that means the Spanish will be knocked out of the war imminently, and then we can finally propose a nice peace deal. The main thing standing in the way of peace at the moment is not our enemies. In fact, it is our Swedish and Spanish allies. But we've also managed to get colonial exploitation. Let's go out and do a little bit of colonizing. Yes, excellent. Right, and with the Spanish out of the way, we can now finally propose a peace deal that all sides of the table will accept, giving us peace in our time. And if you'd like to get your hands on Victoria 3 and support this channel, you can do so by following the link to Humble Bundle down in the description below or in the pinned comment, and purchasing this game from the Humble Bundle store. It should be out and available right now. The progress continues. We're now moving to sewing machines for our textile mills, and unfortunately, if you're a laborer, you might be getting unemployed very, very soon. We're increasing the progress of mechanization and moving from traditional looms to mechanized looms. That's going to cost us more tools, increasing the price of tools across our great empire and our great market, but overall, that increases the efficiency and the productivity of this place because we don't need as many laborers now. Therefore, we can spend a lot less on our wages. And now we wait half a year for our infamy to tick down, and then we're going to do probably roughly about the same thing again, yes. Next up on the proverbial chopping block is the Netherlands. We're going to attempt to make them a puppet too. That should give us access to their entire market. And it looks like we've managed to convince the entire world there's absolutely nothing wrong with this, and they've not taken the side of the Netherlands at all. Yes, everybody is firmly on our side, meaning our entire might, all of our armed forces, are now going to smash straight into the Netherlands. Oh, and there's ironclad technology, that should help. And so at the last minute, the Netherlands took the only honourable option out and completely folded, meaning we got them as a puppet simply by pointing our guns and going, look at us, we've got big sticks. Diplomatic plays are pretty darn fun. Now that we've invented ironclads, we're going to switch our production method over on one of our shipyards into extensive military shipbuilding to build lots of these extra steamships. Then I'll switch over from man-of-wars to ironclads on the Pomeranian fleet. We're now starting to need access to silk. In order to be able to get our hands on that, we're probably going to jump into the Chinese market. And the mighty United Kingdom would like access to our markets unfettered. They want a trade agreement. Well, that's an absolute no from the Kaiser, me, and all of my leadership. We're going to improve our artillery from mobile artillery to shrapnel artillery. What is that going to do? Well, that's going to double our offense and defense from artillery. Yes, it causes more devastation, but that's simply a price we'll have to pay for victory. And now all shall know, Germany rules the waves. This is thanks to our lovely ironclads that we put into production very recently. It takes some time for these kind of improvements to percolate through out into the wider world, but eventually you will reap the rewards. The Austrians have still not learnt their lesson from the past 20 years, and they're throwing in their weight behind the Chinese. And with a daring naval invasion by our glorious leader, the Kaiser, we've just taken most of Chaotu, which would make this entire war much, much easier. We are about to knock Austria out of the war, and once we've done that, we should be able to then quickly make peace with the Qing. Just one more battle might do it, and that's fantastic. We've just forced Austria to give us some of their land, Bohemia and Moravia, and that means Germany is looking bigger and better than ever. And that means we've now got Qing war reparations. Let's take a quick look at how much those war reparations are actually worth. Yes, the Qing are now paying us £45,000 every week. They shouldn't have gone to war with such lovely people as ourselves. Some crazy things appear to be happening on the other side of the world. The United States of America here, well, they still have legacy slavery. And what's happened here? We haven't had a North-South civil war. Instead, there's been something of an uprising here of a new state, the Afro-American uprising, led by President Thomas Ross. Interestingly, though, the Afro-American uprising is also promoting slavery, so the whole thing's just a complete human rights nightmare. So we've established ourselves in Europe, we have a small presence here in the Niger Delta, so we are on the African continent, and Hong Kong is decidedly German. Fantastic. However, that leaves the Western Hemisphere rather unprotected. In order to unify the planet, let's start by making a puppet of Argentina. With the completion of mutual funds technology, this is not only going to increase our minting, but now we can allow all of our different industries to be publicly traded. And that's going to be a very good thing overall. Getting all of these extra capitalists is going to unlock the potential of our nation and let us put lots and lots of money into this investment pool. And it's time to give our people some healthcare. Probably. Let's see if anyone actually wants to do that in our nation. And just the industrialists support healthcare at the moment. Otherwise, generally nobody really cares that much. That's what this grey bar means, is that everyone's pretty much indifferent to it all. The decidedly brown colours of Argentina, Peru, Bolivia, and the tiny Uruguay show that they are now part of Greater Germany. And the Austrians were getting simply too big for their boots. They decided to attempt to try to cut us down, and instead of that, we've taken a large chunk out of Austria, putting us on the corner of the newest nation on the block, which is Italy. It would be a shame if something were to happen to this nation, and therefore, I think it's time that we bring them into the fold as well. Of course, for their protection. This could see us facing off in the largest war we've ever done, yet we now have one of the largest military forces on the planet, so I believe that our good boys with their bayonets and whatnot are going to do fine. Well, war did finally break out in our attempt to puppet Italy now. The East India Company has decided to throw their weight in on this. I wonder if this 300 extra battalions could prove to be a problem. At this point now, basically the whole world, yeah, let's have a look. The world is somewhat upset with us. Apparently Sweden, they're very happy. The Danes, very happy too. The United States, not massively annoyed, but generally a bit miffed. But the European front, yes, that's more of a problem, I would say. We've got diplomats in. We are trying to bolster relations, but only time will tell if that's actually going to do anything for us. There we have it, ladies and gentlemen. We now, though, are stuck in a war with the East India Company. I'm not sure we can actually win this. They don't have as many fleets as us. We're going to try a naval invasion of India. We've won all of the naval engagements, but it looks like we are being repulsed as we attempt to land. Yep, we're getting insufficient naval support, difficult landings, and it's generally just not gone very well. I think at this point it is probably time to call it and ask for peace with our enemy. Let's pivot back over to the New World and smash into Brazil this time. I don't really know what the Brazilians have got going for them. They've got some cash. They're the 19th largest in terms of GDP. That is, of course, dwarfed by our superstate megacorporation, which is blasting through any previous records held anywhere in the universe, or at least on Sol 3. It seems the French have now decided to throw their weight behind our enemy. It looks like with this new move, the death toll could be in the Brazilians. We've kind of reached something of a stalemate here in Alsace-Lorraine. We have pushed forwards a bit, but we're really meeting heavy resistance. The Italians, meanwhile, our puppet, are having difficulties pushing against the French. We're trying our best right now to do an inverted D-Day and invade Normandy via landing craft. However, that's really not going our way. Something of an issue in the French economy at the moment is the fact that they were buying their small arms, their ironclads, their hardwood, I suspect even their man o' wars from our market. So now that we're at war, and we have been at war for some time, well, let's take a look at these French troops. What are they mainly suffering from? They're suffering from a distinct lack of small arms and opium. And that's just going to keep getting worse the longer we fight this war. And we've got plenty of money still flowing into our coffers, so we are at no risk of being forced to end this war anytime soon. Something which is probably more concerning than all of that, though, the leader of the Armed Forces political party is a staunch Republican, but we are the leader of the Armed Forces, or at least part of the Armed Forces political party, and we're quite clearly a royalist because we're the king. This could be an issue. Check back later to find out if it is. And we've now built up this beautiful thing called an investment pool. Yes, thanks to all of that extra money that's flowing into our capitalists, they now have lots more money to invest in things. They're actually producing £113,000 every week to be added to the investment pool. We've built up a large surplus here. This means that all of our temporary construction fees, which would be £200,000, very expensive stuff, is entirely covered by our investment pool. And this will go down by 80,000 a month, but this means realistically we can build even more things to grow our economy even faster. See at the end there, that looks to me like exponential growth. Let's see if we can double down on it. We've rolled out a whole host of power plants, mainly situated in Bavaria, West Prussia, and North Rhine. We're now also the only nation on the world producing electricity. This is how we're going to bootstrap ourselves up into the stars. And we're going to use some of that power to switch over our streetlights from gaslit, which costs us coal, over to electricity. This means we've got more coal to burn in the fires of industry. It also increases the productivity of all of our different various centers here, because you see, at the moment electricity is nice and cheap. Oh, we're at war again. We've had a few short years of constant warfare. Over in the European theatre, we've added the Ottomans, a chunk of Egypt, and Spain to our glorious nation, and a conflict for Scandinavia. You see, they actually stole Denmark from us and formed their own nation of Scandinavia. In response to this, we simply tried to reclaim what is ours, and they fell under our direct control. Meanwhile, the British tried to join in with this, and we now have a beautiful thing, which is the East India Company, entirely owned by Germany. At this point, we are pretty much the preeminent power on the planet. There are a few nations who collectively could still threaten us. First and foremost amongst those is the English. Even though Greater Poland is suffering from devastation and turmoil, we've been able to go in the textile mill there. We've turned around their methods of production. In fact, maybe we should go all the way up to elastics here. Fantastic. And we've made this textile mill not just the number one mill in the world, but the third most profitable building. That's right, we've come in, we've improved efficiency, and now we're going to make these people so much money. The capitalists here, let's take a look. We've got some Polish capitalists. They're currently secure. That's bad. They want to be better. What's their net income though? Look, it's £5,500 every week. Wait, that's more than okay. That's very good. That's oh my goodness me, but that's £5,500 in 1870. They should have let us in centuries ago. And we've made the glassworks better as well, goodness gracious me. So what's going on here is we're putting in all of these resources, dye, tools, electricity, rubber, silks, and we're making a lot of clothes, but also a lot of luxury clothes, which are currently very expensive on our market. And now the owners, they're already up to affluent, and everyone else working there, well, we're bringing their income up as well. It now seems time to press the invasion on Great Britain, our greatest rival. And it looks like we have stormed once more onto the British shoreline here. Yeah, we're gonna cut through these folks like butter. And that should now mean that we've grabbed a sizable chunk out of the United Kingdom. Let's take a look. At the moment, they're at 137 million GDP, and we've just knocked them down to 70. With the beautiful German England over here. What we did turned out to be such a shock to the British economy overall that basically, well, let's have a look. What's happened here is that we've taken over a whole host of their territory, and this has completely disrupted their supply chains. So a lot of buildings now that used to be profitable are no longer profitable. Here, this logging camp, I assume it used to be not such a profitable logging camp, but now it is the 5th logging camp in the world, which is quite high actually. And this wood costs an extra 30%. Overall though, this has caused British GDP to smash down into 30 million, taking them from the number 2 rank in power to number 11, and completely smashing up their standards of living. Oh, and Queen Victoria turns out to be a cocaine addict. That's a nice one, Paradox. War breaks out once again, this time with Russia, who are attempting to cut us down to size. I mean, now we are, what? That's us with the brown over here, with there, with there, with there. I mean, we have almost succeeded in our goal here of liberating the whole planet, ready for something of an invasion. Oh, and it looks like, yes, it looks like we've got Emperor David of Galloway is now fighting against Her Majesty Queen Victoria, 67 years of age. Goodness gracious me, I wonder if we're going to see the fall of the United Kingdom of Great Britain. Looking at the GDP per capita here, I'm looking at Italy, one of our puppets. They have never seen such wealth and growth until they joined our nation. The same is mostly true here for Scandinavia as well. This is clear proof that what we're doing is moral and ethical. And the United Kingdom is no more. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the great realm of Greater Manchester. Yes, Emperor David of Galloway sits on his imperial throne in the majestic capital of Manchester, and the rest of the world bears witness to the greatest state of Manchester. Good gracious me. Well, we asked very nicely, and Emperor David did decide to bend the knee. That means the world looks a little something like this at the moment. Tasmania, yes, that's part of us. East India is ours. Egypt, yes, good. Brazil, Peru, Mexico, the Hudson Bay Company. The year is 1893. With our GDP closing in on £1 billion very, very soon, and without looking like it's stopping, that is a beautiful graph there, by the way. Mwah! Absolutely delicious. Our population reaching massive levels. We're actually the 2nd most populous country in the world now. And that is, of course, ignoring all of the various people living in our dominions, our puppets, our protectorates, our affiliate states. At this point, our army of 500,000 men is at a level where when we attempt to engage in war with another nation, they simply back down. I have lived to the age of 98, and it's now time to unmask myself to the world as in fact an alien and complete this covert infiltration. I declare the planet Dirt ready for integration. If you've enjoyed this video and you'd like to see more Victoria 3 content on this channel, let me know down in the comments below. If you've enjoyed this video and you'd like to see more Victoria 3 content from this channel, click the video on screen now.